Good day, everybody. A special show of Urban Pulse. We don't usually present interviews on Thursdays, but this is a special interview with Mr. Lawrence Good, the CEO of Mercedes. How do you do? And welcome to the show.
I'm good, and good to see you, Fahmi.
Did I get the designation correct?
Well, we're not worried about designations. We're here to sell cars and look after customers.
Okay, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm tall, dark, and handsome. Well, at least I used to be. I'm from the UK,
Yeah.
but I've worked all over the world, in North America, in Japan, quite a lot in Europe. I've always been in the car industry. I dropped out of university where I was trained to actually be a music teacher and became a car salesman, and that was 38 years ago.
38
and
years
I've
ago.
progressed all the way to where I am today.
And it started from England and led you all the way to Oman?
Yes, I've been in Oman for just over 2 years now,
Okay.
And I love this country. I still think it's the best kept secret
Absolutely.
in the world,
Yeah.
and you need to really drive for people to come and see it, because it's much better than the Dubai, and it's much better than other areas, and the mountains and the sea and the
Yeah.
beaches is just...
They call it the jewel of the Gulf, or as
Yeah.
I say, the Shire of the Gulf.
Absolutely, it's brilliant.
Okay, so I would like to ask, you have a back to basics philosophy. How do you live it and apply it?
Well, I think this back to basics is sort of how you are nurtured and how you are brought up as a child. For me, my childhood was all about good manners, integrity, honesty, and being friendly to as many people
The
as I
simple
possibly
stuff.
can.
Yeah.
And that's something I've carried all the way through my business. And I started as a car salesman, I became a manager, became a senior manager, became a director, and I became a managing director. And wherever I've been, I've just tried to adopt this style that actually we're only here to serve. Doesn't matter what your title is, whether you're the guy that cleans the car, whether you're a CEO. We're here to serve our customers and give them the best experience they possibly can. So for me, when I'm looking at integrity and honesty and doing the right thing, that's the principles that I've worked on. And in the last 2 years, that's what we've done here with our team, is actually drill what we call our passion. Our passion is about customer service. And we've seen in the last 2 years, Mercedes-Benz, they have a measuring process, how they measure our customer satisfaction. And we've just gone right off the Richter scale.
Congratulations.
Even in a very difficult market. And for me, that's testimony of how my team and the staff have all worked together to drive this philosophy of back to basics.
Brilliant. I think for me, respect on that philosophy and respect on the courage to actually get on that philosophy. You came into Oman in 2016. Tell us about your time here and any gems you want to share.
Well, of course, it's really interesting being called Lawrence.
Yeah, Lawrence of Arabia.
Lawrence of Arabia.
Nice catch.
And which is really unusual for me, because most of my life my surname is Good.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you're
well,
linking it nicely.
Well, wherever I've worked in the world, everybody's found the surname of Good to be really funny. In particular, I worked with Japanese.
Yeah.
And the Japanese have a really odd sense of humour. Their humour is almost like childlike. So when they used to call me Mr. Good, they almost like snigger away. But I've not had that problem here. It's always been Lawrence of Arabia, and I quite like that.
Yeah.
And
I like it too.
I like it
Yeah.
for 2 reasons.
Yeah.
First of all, I loved the film. And I think
Classic.
it talks about the history of this region. And it's just full of so many exciting and also challenges that people have gone through in terms of society in this region. And I love, of course, the history in terms of frankincense. And,
Over 2,000 years.
Oh yeah, I mean, fantastic. And when people say to me, how do you get it? And I say it grows on trees, they think I'm being funny, and it literally does grow on trees. So that's been quite humorous. But I think for me, I really quite like the Omani sense of humour. Once you've got their trust, they're very funny.
Yes, absolutely.
And I love the relationship
Friendly
I
too,
have with my Omani colleagues. And sometimes I can't understand whether they're actually making fun of me or they're having a laugh with me, but I don't care. Who matters?
So you mentioned the tangible, which is the frankincense, and the intangible, which is the relationship you have with Omanis over here.
Absolutely.
It's specifically, are you a tech expert or a business expert?
Well, I think primarily I'm a businessman.
Yeah.
But of course, I started in the car industry when I was 20 years of age. And I've gone through the disciplines of car sales, after sales, parts, business development, finance and banking.
Wow, that's
and all those
all-rounder.
elements. So my business has gone like that, and you cannot be other than interested in technical. I'm not somebody who could take your engine apart, but I'm really somebody who's a great admiration of engineering. When you think how engineering has developed the world over the years, from somebody's bright idea of, we'll put some fuel in this piece of metal and it'll cause an explosion, which will drive a piston, which will make wheels turn. Who thought of that?
What about Nikola Tesla, who thought of the AC/DC by looking at the sun?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm in great admiration for people who design an engine. So it's more of an interest, but you can't be in the car industry and not look at the technical aspects of
Absolutely.
it. And cars are changing at such great speed now in terms of the technical capabilities of vehicles of today.
I have a reason for asking you about that tech question, is because we are here due to Tech Talk. What is it? What is the ideas? What are the objectives of it?
Well, I was invited by the Oman American Business Center to do a presentation. And I wanted to do it here in the showroom rather than doing it at a hotel.
Absolutely.
No offense to Crown
Changing
Plaza
the environment,
yeah. Just to actually
maybe connectivity with people.
Exactly, put us in the environment that we work in and our customers are in every day. So, because I'm a quite tactile, I like people just to understand the senses of that, what we deal with every single day.
It's also how you're mentioning the old Merc with the new Merc, how you connected with the old thing and the beast of it. So I connected with how you are.
Exactly.
So I felt that.
The technology is changing now across every motor manufacturer. It's not just Mercedes-Benz. We are sort of leading the way on it. But as I said in the presentation, a lot of the designs and the innovations we've had in our vehicles over the past 100 years have found themselves into other cars. We invented ABS braking, we invented the collapsible steering wheel upon impact, we invented airbags, and a host of other features, which were features that were first developed for Mercedes-Benz and now on ordinary cars.
Who has the patents?
Well,
Out of curiosity, when you said that, I was interested.
I think it's like most things, that technology has to be shared.
Shared.
It has to be shared. And I think that's even more important when you start in looking at automated vehicles. And we've been talking about a program called CASE, which is the Mercedes-Benz program, and it stands for Connected. And that's how your vehicle will communicate, because every car will have its own SIM card.
Yeah.
So it'll be the most expensive phone you've ever bought in your life.
Absolutely.
And that will enable us to provide lots of safety issues, lots of options for the customer to use their phone to start the car, to put the aircon on before the car.
I saw an awesome video of whether Amazon delivering something, and you can talk to your phone through cloud and open up the boot, and he delivers something in there.
Sure, and that's one of the features that we are having as part of our shared services, where your car will actually, might not be your car, be a car that you share. If you look in London, there's very little point in owning a car in the centre of London, but you might need a car for 3 days of the month. So a shared car system, and Mercedes-Benz are already piloting this in major cities, and we've got 20,000 vehicles out there which are currently
shared, meaning carpooling also.
Yeah, carpooling. Yeah. And I think that's critical for major conurbations and cities going forward.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's part of what we do. The other thing, of course, is this automated driving, which is this driverless car.
Yes,
which
the
is
future.
Pretty scary. It's sort of things that you saw on a sci-fi film 20, 30 years ago. And it's real. And we are now already testing this in America and in Europe. And it works. And not just on cars, but on trucks. Because really transport is only really taking something from A to B, be it a child, a person, going to work, going on holiday.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Or whether you're delivering fruit and vegetables or bricks and cement. We're just taking things from A to B.
With all this tech, does it make it more expensive?
I think invariably, when all new inventions come out, there's always a high cost. And then as production starts to get bigger, then prices will automatically come down. I mean, if you look at your first mobile phone that you bought, the technology that you had on that was the same price as an iPhone. Yeah. But look at the technology you've got in an iPhone now compared to that Nokia 3310, which was a brilliant phone, by the way.
Or the Ericsson, absolutely.
Snake.
Banana.
Of course.
Yes. High five.
So as technology improves and it becomes more abundant, it will gradually reduce down the price of this new technology on vehicles, in particular on electric vehicles.
So I've got a question over here, and the topic of Tech Talk was from autonomous driving to electrical vehicles, the future of mobility. Heavy. Can you give us a little idea on your talk?
Well, of course, we talked about case, I've talked about connected, I've talked about automated, and I've talked about shared. The E in case is electric, as we look for alternate fuel cells away from traditional fossil fuel vehicles. And of course, this is a contentious issue, but it's really being driven by governments and consumer demand now. The next generation coming through are actually more probably environment friendly than I will ever be or have been, even though I believe we should reduce down the carbon footprint.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, everybody tends to blame the motor vehicle straight away, and I think that's sometimes a little bit unfair.
You might be biased.
Slightly.
Yeah.
But of course our industry has moved a long way to improve emissions in terms of the technology in the engines and the efficiency. For example, on most of our vehicles now, if you pull up at the traffic lights, the engine switches off.
Yes, absolutely.
So you're not burning fuel while you stood there for 30, 45 50
seconds.
And it's just all those little bits.
Little bits helping
all those
accumulate.
Together actually make a real strong case for reducing emissions. Electric vehicles will come. Looking at the world analysts, it depends who you are talking to. Some are saying it could be here in big numbers by 2040. And when they're talking big numbers, 2040, probably 35% of all cars sold will be electric cars. So I don't know about you.
I've got a hybrid.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm going to be here in 2040 to at least see them.
Inshallah.
But let's see. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to be a gradual progression because there will be requirement for manufacturers to joint venture with software companies,
absolutely,
with network providers, communication network providers,
many aspects,
with retailers. We just can't do this on our own. If we're going to have autonomous cars and electric cars,
got to connect with a lot of industries.
You've got to have the ability to be able to charge those vehicles up. And already in Muscat, we have an electric vehicle charging point.
Oh wow!
Just up the road. So, so it's already here in Oman. I'm not so sure how many electric cars there are.
But once you move away from there, where are you going to charge it next?
Exactly. So you need a whole infrastructure. You need roads that can actually have, I know this sounds bizarre, can have SIMs in them or communication beacons that can communicate with cars.
That's where 5G comes in.
Yeah, if you're going to have an autonomous
IoT,
car,
Internet of Things.
No, now you're talking technical. Please explain that to me.
I heard that. I thought you were going to be able to explain that with the car.
I told you I'm a businessman. I'm not technical.
Okay.
But all these things will happen.
Yeah.
And it will be a relationship between governments, manufacturers, software providers, network, and of course customers.
I love the linking between all these industries to be able to help out with the car. Absolutely. Now I have a few questions. You said something, actually before the question, you said something very cool. Yesterday was Omani Women's Day and you said the first Mercedes car was driven by a woman.
That's correct.
Absolutely great story. Good trivia.
She drove it over the mountains.
Yeah, and she was Mrs. Daimler.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And so that's an interesting point. So when these people criticise female drivers, they should think again. There's quite a lot of history. And let me tell you, I find female drivers to be better drivers than men drivers, but that's another story.
Okay, that's another story. A lot of
day.
Send us your WhatsApp on 94555 954 to let us know what you think. Another question. You said SIM cards are going to be involved in it. Now, how do we pay for that? Are we going to be paying monthly for the SIM cards, or is it one bulk that goes into the car?
I think this is part of the discussion, and of course it will depend on whether you are dealing with Vodafone or whether you're dealing with Omantel, or
whatever package that they give.
Exactly.
So whoever has the best package, they win actually.
And that's why there's got to be this real link between the two to make sure this works. And of course, we don't restrict our cars to our own countries. In Europe, you can drive, well, you could until Brexit, you could drive all over Europe pretty openly. And how does this work? So that's why they've got to be the involvement of not just car and truck and bus manufacturers. It's got to be the involvement of all these other companies
absolutely.
That will facilitate it. Not just for the good of the driver, but for the good of society.
And themselves also.
And themselves as well.
Now, if a car is driven autonomously and it's got a puncher, who fixes the puncher?
Well, the car won't do that itself just yet. That might be
autonomous.
Something in the further future. What I always say, that cars are man-made products, and they will break down.
Faults.
And for me here, and sometimes we have Mercedes-Benz that break down, and I say to customers, please don't judge us that the car's broken down. Judge us on the way that we repair it, and we help you to get this resolved.
Fair enough. We're just going to have to see what the future brings. Debate goes on. Right now, this conversation is about to end. Awesome time. I appreciate so much your time on Urban Pulse.
I just need you to play me a song. You need to play me James Taylor, You've Got a Friend.
Sharon,
you've got a friend here.
You heard that. Let's get that going on. Appreciate it. To everybody listening to Urban Pulse, very much thank you. Very much thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're going to catch you next week. Till then, keep on pulsing.